Today, there was a surprise waiting for Edward in the yard. It was a traction engine. "Hello," said Edward. "You're not broken and rusty. What are you doing here?" "I'm Trevor. They're going to break me up next week." "What a shame," said Edward. "My driver says I only need some paint, polish and oil to be as good as new. But my master says I'm old-fashioned." Edward snorted. "People say I'm old-fashioned, but I don't care. The fat controller says I'm a useful engine." "What work did you do?" "My master would send us from farm to farm. We threshed corn, hauled logs and did lots of other work. The children loved to see us." Trevor shut his eyes, remembering. "Oh yes, I like children." Edward set off for the station. "Broken up, what a shame. Broken up, what a shame. I must help Trevor, I must." He thought of all his friends who liked engines, but strangely none of them would have room for a traction engine at home. It's a shame, he hissed. Then, beep, beep! Why didn't I think of him before? There, on the platform, was the very person. "Hello, Edward. You look upset. What's the matter, Charlie?" he asked the driver. "There's a traction engine in the scrapyard, Vicar. He'll be broken up next week. Jem Cole says he never drove a better engine." "Do save him, sir. He saws wood and gives children rides." "We'll see," replied the vicar. Jem Cole came on Saturday. "The Reverend's coming to see you, Trevor. Maybe he'll buy you." "Do you think he will?" asked Trevor hopefully. "He will when I've lit your fire and cleaned you up." The vicar and his two boys arrived that evening. Trevor hadn't felt so happy for months. He chuffered about the yard. "Show your paces, Trevor," said the vicar. Later, he came out of the office smiling. "I've got him cheap, Jem, cheap." "Do you hear that, Trevor?" cried Jem. "The Reverend saved you and you live at the vicarage now." "Peep, peep," whistled Trevor. Now Trevor's home is in the vicarage orchard, and he sees Edward every day. One morning, Percy was careless. "I say, you engines, I'm to take some trucks to Thomas's Junction. The fat controller chose me especially. He must know I'm a really useful engine." "More likely he wants you out the way," grunted James. Gordon looked across to James. They were making a plan. "James and I were just speaking about signals at the junction. We can't be too careful about signals. But then I needn't say that to a really useful engine like you, Percy." Percy felt flattered. "We had spoken of backing signals," put in James. "They need extra special care, you know. Would you like me to explain?" "No, thank you, James," said Percy. "I know all about signals." Percy was a little worried. "I wonder what backing signals are," he thought. "Never mind, I'll manage." He puffed crossly to his trucks and felt better. He came to a signal. "Bother, it's at danger." The signal moved to show line clear. Its arm moved up instead of down. Percy had never seen that sort of signal before. Down means go and up means stop. So upper still must mean go back. I know, it's one of those backing signals. "Come on, Percy," said his driver. "Off we go." "Stop! You're going the wrong way." "But it's a backing signal," Percy protested and told him about Gordon and James. The driver laughed and explained. "Oh dear," said Percy. "Let's start quickly before they see us." He was too late. Gordon saw everything. That night, the big engines talked about signals. They thought the subject was funny. Percy thought they were being very silly. The new engine arrived. "What's your name?" asked the fat controller. "Montague, sir, but I'm usually called Duck." "They say I waddle." "I don't really, sir, but I like Duck better than Montague." "Good. Duck it shall be." "Here, Percy, show Duck round." The two engines went off together. Soon they were very busy. James, Gordon and Henry watched Duck quietly doing his work. "He seems a simple sort of engine. We'll have some fun and order him about."
Whee!
Smoke billowed everywhere. Percy was cross. Duck took no notice. "They'll get tired of it soon." "Do they tell you to do things, Percy?" "Yes, they do," answered Percy. "Right," said Duck. "We'll soon stop that nonsense." He whispered something. "We'll do it later." The fat controller was looking forward to hot buttered toast for tea at home. Suddenly he heard an extraordinary noise. Whee! "Bother," he said, and hurried to the yard. Duck and Percy calmly sat on the points outside the shed, refusing to let the engines in. Gordon, James and Henry were furious. "Stop that noise!" bellowed the fat controller. "They won't let us in," hissed Gordon. "Duck, explain this behavior." "Beg pardon, sir, but I'm a Great Western engine. We do our work without fuss. But begging your pardon, sir, Percy and I would be glad if you would inform these engines that we only take orders from you." "Silence!" snapped the fat controller. "Percy and Duck, I am pleased with your work today, but not with your behavior tonight. You have caused a disturbance." Gordon, Henry and James sniggered. "As for you," thundered the fat controller, "you've been worse. You made the disturbance. Duck is quite right. This is my railway and I give the orders." After Percy went away, Duck was left to manage alone. He did so, easily. When Thomas came back, Annie and Clarabel told him how well Duck had managed. Thomas was so pleased to be home that he soon forgot to be jealous. The works had left Thomas's handbrake very stiff. It made his brakes seem as if they were hard on, when in fact they were not. As a result, he and his coaches often overran the platform. Thomas found this most embarrassing. Gradually, his driver and fireman learned to be extra careful. But one day, Thomas's fireman was ill, and a relief man took his place. The fireman had fastened the coupling and joined the driver and station master on the platform to wait for Henry's passengers. The fireman had forgotten all about Thomas's handbrake. Thomas simmered happily. Not long now, he thought, as he saw Henry slowly approaching. But Thomas's brakes were not hard on, and suddenly he felt his wheels begin to move. He tried to stop, but he couldn't without his driver and fireman. He tried to whistle a warning, but he couldn't do that either. The guard, driver, fireman, and passengers were all stranded on the platform. "Stop! Stop!" shrieked Annie and Clarabel. But Thomas, with plenty of steam, kept on going. The alarm went out down the line. "Stop the runaway!" There, ready for action, was Harold the helicopter. inspector had made a plan, and together they took off into the sky. At last, Thomas was tiring. "I need to stop. I need to stop," he panted wearily. As they neared the next station, Thomas saw Harold land. They entered the platform slowly enough for the inspector to act. Judging his moment, the inspector scrambled into the cab and screwed the brake hard on. At last, Thomas stopped. Both he and the inspector were very relieved. Then they thanked Harold. Thomas was looking at a board on the quay. "Danger! We mustn't go past it," he said. "That's orders." "Why?" "Danger means falling down something," said Thomas. "I went past danger once and fell down a mine." "I can't see a mine," said Percy. He didn't know that the foundations of the quay had sunk. The rails now sloped downward to the sea. "Stupid board," said Percy. Percy made a plan. One day he whispered to the trucks, "Will you give me a bump when we get to the quay?" The trucks had never been asked to bump an engine before. They giggled and chatted about it. "Driver doesn't know my plan," chuckled Percy. On, laughed the trucks. Percy thought they were helping. "I'll pretend to stop at the station, but the trucks will push me past the board. Then I'll make them stop. I can do that whenever I like." Every wise engine knows that you cannot trust trucks. Go on, they yelled, and bumped Percy's driver and fireman off the footplate. "Oh!" said Percy, sliding past the board. Percy was frantic. "That's enough!" Percy was sunk. "You are a very disobedient engine." Percy knew that voice. "Please, sir, get me out, sir. I'm truly sorry, sir." "No, Percy, we cannot do that till high tide. I hope it will teach you to obey orders." "Yes, sir." It was dark when they brought floating cranes to rescue Percy. He was too cold and stiff to move by himself. Next day, he was sent to the works on Henry's goods train. Well, chuckled Henry. "Did you like the water?" "No. I am surprised. You need more determination, Percy. Water's nothing to an engine with determination, you know. Perhaps you will like it better next time." Percy is quite determined that there won't be a next time. The silly engines were flattered. "He has very good manners," they murmured. "We are pleased to have him in our yard." Duck had his doubts. "Come on," he said. Diesel purred after him. "You're worthy, fat Sir Topham Hatt to you," ordered Duck. Diesel looked hurt. "Your worthy Sir Topham Hatt thinks I need to learn. He is mistaken. We Diesels don't need to learn. We know everything. We come to a yard and improve it. We are revolutionary." "Oh," said Duck, "if you're Revo Thingagummy, perhaps you would collect my trucks while I fetch Gordon's coaches." Diesel, delighted to show off, purred away. When Duck returned, Diesel was trying to take some trucks from a siding. They were old and empty. They had not been touched for a long time. Diesel found them hard to move. Pull! Push! Backwards! Forwards! Oh! The trucks groaned. We can't! We won't! Duck watched with interest. Diesel lost patience. He roared, gave a great heave. The trucks veered forward. Oh! They screamed, we can't, we won't. Some of their brakes snapped, and the gear jammed in the sleepers. Chuckled Duck. Diesel recovered and tried to push the trucks back, but they wouldn't move. Duck ran quietly round to collect the other trucks. Thank you for arranging these, Diesel. I must go now. Don't you want this lot? No, thank you. Diesel gulped. And I've taken all this trouble. Why didn't you tell me? You never asked me. Besides, said Duck, you were having such fun being Rev whatever it was you said. Goodbye. Diesel had to help the workmen clear the mess. He hated it. All the trucks were laughing and singing at him. Trucks are waiting in the yard, tackling them with Diesel. Show the world what I can do, gaily boasts the Diesel. In and out he creeps about like a big black weasel. When he pulls the wrong trucks out, pop goes the Diesel. Growled Diesel and scuttled away to sulk in the shed. He was going to tell lies about Duck. Next day, he spoke to the trucks. I see you like jokes. You made a good joke about me yesterday. I laughed and laughed. Duck told me one about Gordon. I'll whisper it. Don't tell Gordon I told you. And he sniggered away. Oh, guffed the trucks. Gordon will be cross with Duck when he knows. Let's tell him and pay Duck out for bumping us. They laughed rudely at the engines as they went by. Soon Gordon, Henry, and James found out why. Disgraceful, said Gordon. Disgusting, said James. Despicable, said Henry. We cannot allow it. They consulted together. Yes, they said. He did it to us. We'll do it to him and see how he likes it. Duck was tired out. The trucks had been cheeky and troublesome. He wanted a rest in the shed. The three engines barred his way. Whoosh! Keep out. Stop fooling, said Duck. I'm tired. So are we, hissed the engines. We are tired of you. We like Diesel. We don't like you. You tell tales about us to the trucks. I don't. You do. I don't. You do. The Fat Controller came to stop the noise. Duck called me a galloping sausage, spluttered Gordon. Rusty red scrap iron, hissed James. I'm old Square Wheels, fumed Henry. Well, Duck? Duck considered. I only wish, sir, he said gravely, that I'd thought of those names myself, if the dome fits. Oh, he made trucks laugh at us, accused the engines. The Fat Controller recovered. He'd been trying not to laugh himself. Did you, Duck? Certainly not, sir. No steam engine would be as mean as that. Diesel lurked up. Now, Diesel, you heard what Duck said. I can't understand it, sir. To think that Duck of all engines. I am dreadfully grieved, sir, but know nothing. I see, said the Fat Controller. Diesel squirmed and hoped he didn't. I'm sorry, Duck, but you must go to Edward's station for a while. I know he will be glad to see you. As you wish, sir. Duck trundled sadly away, while Diesel smirked with triumph. Duck loved coasting down the hill, running easily with the wind whistling past. Suddenly, it was a guard's warning whistle. Hurrah, 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 laughed the trucks. We've broken away, we've broken away. Chase him, bump him, throw him off the rails, they yelled. Hurry, Duck, hurry, said the driver. They raced through Edward's station, but the trucks were catching up. As fast as we can, then they'll catch us gradually. The driver was gaining control. Another clear mile and we'll do it. Oh, glory, look at that! James was just pulling out on their line from the station ahead. Any minute there could be a crash. It's up to you now, Duck, cried the driver. Duck put every ounce of weight and steam against the trucks. It's too late, Duck groaned and shut his eyes. He veered into a siding where a barber had set up shop. He was shaving a customer. The silly trucks had knocked their guard off his van and left him far behind after he had whistled a warning. But the trucks didn't care. They were feeling very pleased with themselves. Beg pardon, sir, gasped Duck. Excuse my intrusion. No, I won't, said the barber. You frightened my customers. I'll teach you. And he lathered Duck's face all over. Poor Duck. Thomas was helping to pull the trucks away when the Fat Controller arrived. I do not like engines popping through my walls, fumed the barber. I appreciate your feelings, said the Fat Controller, but you must know that this engine and his crew have prevented a serious accident. It was a very close, shave. Oh, said the barber. Oh, excuse me. He filled a basin of water to wash Duck's face. I'm sorry. I didn't know you were being a brave engine. That's all right, sir. I didn't know that either. You were very brave indeed, said the Fat Controller. I'm proud of you. The Fat Controller watched the rescue operation. Then he had more news for Duck. And when you are properly washed and mended, you are coming home. Home, sir? Do you mean the yard? Of course. But, sir, they don't like me. They like Diesel. Not now. I never believed Diesel, so I sent him packing. The engines are sorry and want you back. Thomas grew crosser and crosser. Time's time, he grumbled. Why should I keep my passengers waiting while Henry and James dawdle about all day on viaducts? Don't blame me, snorted Henry. If we hurried across the viaduct, it might collapse, and then you'd have no passengers at all. What would you do then? Run my train on time for one thing, retorted Thomas. He hurried away before Henry could answer. Bertie was impatient too. He was timed to arrive just after Thomas. His passengers found that instead of going straight from the bus to their train, they were kept waiting till Thomas arrived. Soon Bertie grew cross with Thomas. Late again, he remarked, as Thomas panted wearily in. We may be friends, but I thought you could go fast, Thomas. It's time we had another race. I reckon I could beat you now. Thomas let off steam loudly. Rubbish, he hissed fiercely. It's those mainline engines. They dither about on their viaduct and then blame the Fat Controller's workmen. It's just an excuse for laziness, if you ask me. One day, James was later than ever at the junction. "I'm sorry, Thomas," he puffed. "I was held up at the station, and the viaduct made it worse." "It's lucky for you I'm a guaranteed connection," grumbled Thomas. Before James could answer, he puffed importantly away. Come along," he panted to the coaches. Annie and Clarabel did their best, but Thomas soon found that he couldn't save much time. Suddenly, Thomas saw Bertie ahead. His radiator was steaming. "What's the matter?" asked Thomas. "You should be at the station by now. You're late." "I feel dreadful," moaned Bertie. "All upset inside, and driver says he can't make me better." "Thank goodness you're late too. Can you take my passengers, please? They'll never get home otherwise." "Of course," agreed Thomas. He now felt sorry for Bertie and promised to get help at the next station. Thomas set off again. Already he felt much more cheerful, and Bertie's passengers, travelling in Annie and Clarabel, all reached home safely. Until one day, Donald had an accident. The rails were slippery. He couldn't stop in time. The Fat Controller was most annoyed. "I am disappointed, Donald. I did not expect such, clumsiness from you. I had decided to send Douglas back and keep you." "I'm sorry, sir," said Donald. "I should think so too. You have upset my arrangements. Now James will have to help with the goods work, while you have your tender mended. James won't like that." The Fat Controller was right. James grumbled dreadfully. "Anyone would think," said Douglas, "that Donald had his accident on purpose. I heard tell about an engine and some tar wagons." "Shut up," said James. "It's not funny." He didn't like to be reminded of his own accident. Well, said Douglas. "Surely, James, it wasn't a you. You didn't say." James didn't say. He slouched sulkily away. "He's cross," sniggered the spiteful brake van. "We'll try to make him crosser still." "Hold back," giggled the trucks to each other. James did his best, but he was exhausted when they reached Edward Station. Luckily, Douglas was there. "Help me up the hill, please," panted James. "These trucks are playing tricks." "We'll show them," said Douglas. Slowly but surely, the snorting engines forced the trucks up the hill. But James was losing steam. "I can't do it! I can't do it! Lay it to me!" shouted Douglas. The guard was anxious. "Go steady! The van's breaking!" The van was in pieces. No one had been hurt, and soon Edward came to clear the mess. The Fat Controller was on board. "I might have known it would be Douglas," he said. "Douglas was grand, sir," said Edward. "James had no steam left, but Douglas worked hard enough for 3. I heard him from my yard." "2 would have been enough," said the Fat Controller. Presently they came to a drift which was larger than most. They charged it, and were just backing for another try when... "Lush sakes, Donald! It's Henry! Dinnot fess yourself, Henry! Wait a while, we'll have you out." Henry was very grateful. He saw all was not well. The twins were glum. They told him that the Fat Controller was returning soon. He'll send us back for sure. It's a shame, said Percy. A lot of nonsense about a broken signal box, grumbled Gordon. That spiteful brake van too, put in James. Good riddance, that's what I say. They were splendid in the snow, added Henry. It isn't fair. They all agreed that something must be done, but none knew what. Percy decided to talk to Edward about it. What you need, said Edward, is a deputation. He explained what that was. Percy ran back quickly. Edward says we need a deputation. Of course, said Gordon. The question is, what is a desperation? Asked Henry. It's when engines tell the Fat Controller something's wrong, said Percy. Did you say tell the Fat Controller? Asked Duck thoughtfully. There was a long silence. I propose, said Gordon, that Percy be our, disputation. Hi, squeaked Percy. I can't. Rubbish, Percy, said Henry. It's easy. That's settled then, said Gordon. Poor Percy wished it wasn't. Hello, Percy. It's nice to be back. Percy jumped. Yes, sir. Please, sir. You look nervous, Percy. What's the matter? Please, sir, they've made me a desperation, sir. To speak to you, sir. I don't like it, sir. The Fat Controller pondered. Do you mean a deputation, Percy? Yes, sir, please, sir. It's Donald and Douglas, sir. They say, sir, that if you send them away, sir, they'll be turned into scrap, sir. That would be dreadful, sir. Please, sir, don't send them away. Thank you, Percy. That will do. Later, the Fat Controller spoke to the engines. I had a deputation. I understand your feelings, but I do not approve of interference. He paused impressively. Donald and Douglas, I hear that your work in the snow was good.